Hey folks, so I'm going to introduce you to assignment 2, which is our technical description assignment. So here's the deal. I already said this in the overall lecture, but basically understanding how to write a technical description is a key skill set that you should acquire in this course. It's going to require you to first see something in a very different light and with way more detail. So making the familiar object unfamiliar to you, right? So if I'm talking about this pen, not that I would recommend doing this for this object or for this assignment, I don't think this would fit. But I wouldn't just be like, oh, it's a pen. I would have to be like, okay, like what kind of plastic is this? Like what are all of the parts and component parts? Which means I would have to take this whole thing together and like figure out what the plastic is, what the ink is, what's holding it, the technical descriptions for each darn thing, and describe them and how all the parts fit together. It's a lot because this seems like a really simple object, but when you actually pull it apart and look at all of its component pieces, you're like, oh snap, that's not true. They're a lot, okay? So yeah, it's a really important skill set to be really precise and thorough in your descriptions, and also make sure that you are creating and including illustrations of each part and subpart of whatever object you pick and so forth. So yeah, that's the whole point of this assignment, is to learn to do something that's kind of hard, that seems like it's going to be simple, and yet it's not. So the assignment instructions are going to ask you to choose a simple object that has one movable part that you can, and make sure that you're picking an object that you can easily disassemble, right? So I would really emphasize the simple part, and we'll talk about this in a different little mini video. And then you're going to use the guidelines and the little mini lectures, all those types of things, handouts, to compose a technical/mechanical. Technically, this is a mechanical description. There are lots of subgenres of technical descriptions, so what we're really looking for is like a mechanical description. But you are going to include that description, and it's also going to include either photos or like a series of like line drawings of the object and its parts and subparts. And this just gives you an indication of the types of things you're going to be doing. You're going to be naming each part, describing it, describing each component, including images of each part and subpart, really diving deep into the materials that it's constructed of, like the specific materials, and then also like the description of each part and subpart that includes its purpose, its function, its size, its dimensions, the material, the shape, its color, its texture, its pattern, its design, its weight, its location, its capacity. It's a lot, which is why, again, you want to pick a simple object with one movable part. Okay, and this just kind of gives you just like step-by-step instructions for how to do this. Pick a simple gadget, refer to course handouts and readings, and then just design a document that's easy to use using some of these strategies that we're going to talk about in this unit. Review and revise your draft to meet the audience needs. Remember that you're always going to be creating technical descriptions for a mixed audience, but you want to make sure the thoroughness is there for folks with a little bit more knowledge, but also that the descriptions themselves are for those parts of your mixed audience that have less familiarity with that object, all right? Patience, humility, all of that is going to be really important. And then just make sure that you're reviewing your draft for the kinds of reader-centered style and the kinds of style and mechanics that we talked about in Unit 1 that are hallmarks of technical writing, okay? And then eventually I will actually add the correct due dates down here, but I do need to revise these, all right? Because we had a little snow break. All right, so but that is the gist of this assignment.